if you've heard it's the most challenging market,
Then
it's probably
stay
one of
there.
the best markets there is.
Yeah.
I love that. That's my favorite
Yeah.
thing. They're like, oh, you can't wholesale in Southern California. There's too much competition.
No,
Good.
but, yeah.
There's a lot of competition. It's because
It's a good
somebody's
market.
making a shitload of money there. That's
Yeah.
where I want to be.
So one of my favorite things, I don't even know where this came from, but there's always room for one more if you're good enough. And so it's what I'd say, if you're struggling, right, reach out to somebody who's having success in your market. Like reach out and go talk to that person, see what they're doing and emulate that. Find somebody you look up to, reach out to that person and go model them. Quit trying to invent the wheel, man. It's already been done.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for today's episode of Real Estate Disruptors. Here we got Blake and Tyson Smith with We Buy Homes Cash. More operators in the Phoenix market, and they're going to talk about how their top rep has done 55 deals year to date, an unfathomable number. Now, as you guys know, I am on a mission to create 100 millionaires. The information on this podcast alone is enough to help you become a millionaire in the next 5 to 7 years. If you'll take consistent action, you will become one. Now, I've been talking about that for a while. We finally created a tool, free thing, right, to show you how to track the financials so you can know if you're actually a millionaire or not. Go to wealthevaluation.com to get our 6-page PDF so you can do a worksheet if you guys are interested in figuring out exactly where you are financially. This show is brought to you by our sister company, InvestorLift. Get access to over 2 million cash buyers across the country. Go to InvestorLift.com, put in Disruptors to get 10% off. And if you get value today, please tag our friend below, share this episode right now. That way we can all grow together. And it's a live show, so please ask your questions for Blake and Tyson to answer. You ready?
Yep.
Absolutely.
All right. So the first question is, what was your life like right before you guys got into real estate? I'll start with you, and then we'll go with you.
Right before I got into real estate?
Yeah.
How do I want to answer that? Well, right before I got into real estate, I was doing a startup. So
Yeah.
life was difficult, we'll say.
Yeah.
I won't dive deep into that, but basically, I mean, that's what got me there, right? I had to figure out something to do and somewhere I was going to go earn, and I'm not employable. I'm a horrible employee.
Definitely agree that you're unemployable. We'll get to that later on.
So,
As far as when I first met you, my very first impressions. So, was this around the time you had just winded down your construction company?
Yep.
Okay, so you already had success as a self-employed person, as an operator of a good-sized company.
Yep.
Why don't we talk a little bit about what your business was like before you shut it down?
Yeah, we did residential and commercial drywall. So drywall and metal stud framing, and then just a lot of residential production, multifamily type building, and ran a team of, at our height, we had 197 employees.
197 employees, W-2.
The majority, yes.
So,
Well, I'd say 50% were.
So what was your monthly payroll like?
We base it on a weekly. So our payroll every week was over $100,000. Just payroll.
Gotcha. So it's a little bit more than what you're spending today.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what was the reason for shutting that down?
Well, I guess for the long story, one, I hated it, right? So I didn't realize, but you kind of just get drawn in and sucked into it. And I didn't like the business, I didn't like where we were headed. But that was years, right? So you kind of quit taking care of your business.
Mm-hmm.
And so I started hiring people to take care of my business, and they don't take care of your business.
Yeah, not quite the same.
But I didn't keep eyes on them, right? And so
Yeah.
I hired a guy, and we were just going to blow commercial up, and it cost me about $2 million in 6 months. And I was like, fuck this.
So you decided to go expand the commercial,
Yeah.
and as a result of expanding into commercial, you lost $2 million.
Yeah, I burned through $1 million cash in 4 months, and then we lost over another $1 million in AR.
In what?
In accounts
accounts
receivable.
like money that was owed to you?
Yep.
Wow, from commercial? Like, did these people declare BK? Like, what happened there?
Well, it's just the whole story, but yeah, it was just like you start going down. You're tied into some pretty intense contracts with commercial contractors, and they're like, you're not performing, they just kick you off, and then liquidated damages, they come through and they just take your money, and there's really not a lot you can do about it.
Okay, so you already had the taste of entrepreneurship, and you realized you're unemployable. Yeah. So then what about you? What was your life like right before you got into real estate?
Before I got into real estate, Steve, I was at the University of Alabama, hitting the bars 4 or 5 nights a week, and pretty much didn't have much of a care in the world besides going to the gym and having fun.
Yeah. University of Alabama. So you're
Roll
probably
Tide.
Roll Tide. I was gonna say you were probably already pretty close. You were in Ren's neck of the woods then.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So kind of doing whatever. You didn't really have a job at all. Was there any underlying reasons why you decided to pursue real estate?
Well, so, I mean, ever since I was a little kid, I've always been attracted to like nice stuff, right? I wanted to wear a suit every single day, and I wanted to drive a shiny red sports car. I wanted to have a sick office and have a big house. These are things I always wanted. I always knew I was going to have too. And just throughout so when I went to college, I was studying finance and real estate. Finance, because I was like, well, I could go work at Goldman Sachs, and I could be a stockbroker like Jordan Belfort,
Yeah.
and maybe that could give me all this stuff. Then I had real estate too, because I knew that there were people in real estate who were making a ton of money as well. I didn't know shit, but this was my understanding.
Master plan.
Yeah, so I was doing that. I had like several internships and whatnot. So I had an internship at a big real estate investment services firm specialized in student housing for a summer, and worked under a great team there and got a lot of like exposure to that. And I was like, oh, I want to do this. Like I wanted to work there full time. And that was my plan for when I graduated.
Mhm.
But then I graduated in 2020, which, as you know, something pretty crazy happened and the whole world
Not
decided.
in Arizona.
Well, true, but until it did. But Arizona was one of the better places to be.
Yeah.
But when that happened, the firm was like, "Hey, like we don't have any deal flow. Like we don't have a spot for you anymore." And so, what am I going to do? I can't just sit around and do nothing. And he had told me about wholesaling over the past year or so.
Yeah.
And that was my intro to real estate. Well, I shouldn't say that, because when I was 18, I went and got my real estate license.
Did you?
Yeah,
Oh, I didn't know that.
for a summer.
I threw his ass on the phones cold.
Oh
calling,
yeah,
too.
I was
calling
on,
expireds and here, just say this.
yeah, hated it.
Great practice.
Oh yeah.
Great training.
Well, so honestly, that's the truth, is because of that. Even though I didn't know what I was doing, and it wasn't like I was good at phone sales after that, but I had experience doing it, and I thought I had training. So I was like, I am good on the phones, whatever. And so I had that little bit of confidence when I first did get into wholesaling. I was like, oh, I already know how to do this.
You already faced it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like I don't talk about this a lot, but like one of my first jobs out of high school was I did work at a call center, right? And like I didn't get paid very well. It was like $8 an hour. But it was a job.
Yeah.
Right. I worked 8 hours a day, cold calling for $8 an hour. So what got you what prompted you to get into real estate?
Well, when I was looking around, right, I'm looking at jobs. I've got people offering me to come and run their company. They're like, we're going to pay you $100,000 a year. I'm like, there's not a chance I'm going to go work for somebody for $100,000 a year. Like, that's not going to, I will go mow lawns and make $50,000 a year before I do that. I don't care. I'm not doing that.
Yeah.
And I was like, you know what? I can do real estate. That's got to be the easiest job in the world. And so I got licensed and I started doing it. And I realized it wasn't easy. But part of it was like, I didn't have a sphere of influence. So I'm calling expireds. I'm learning from people who I didn't really like their system. So I didn't believe in it. And so now I'm trying to tell somebody, hey, let me sell your house. I don't even believe in it. And the first year was miserable. Second year was better. The third year was better. But I still didn't have a passion. It was the third year, though, that I stumbled upon my first wholesale deal that I didn't get. I don't even remember my first wholesale deal. I remember this deal, though.
Yeah.
And I was trying to get the seller from to talk to me. And I could tell he wasn't being honest with me. There was something I was missing, and he wasn't being truthful. Come to find out, he'd already signed a contract. But that's where I met Temp. So my broker said, he's like, yeah, this is a cash deal. Call this kid. I met Temp, and so we gave a cash price. We couldn't make it work out. We ended up finding the truth, but I watched that deal, and I saw him flip it, and I was like, that's what I want to do. And that was in like October of 2018.
Yeah.
And I threw all my traditional away. I closed down my CRM. I exported the leads, threw them in the trash, and I just went and said, how do I do this?
Right.
And I just started wholesaling.
All right. So you don't remember your very first deal, but what transactions do you remember when you decided to go into wholesaling?
Well, that transactions I remember. Most of the transactions I remember were just understanding, like, sometimes you're trying to be too fancy with people and they're just like, dude, I just need help. Right. So learn to just shut up, say less. What do you need? So is this what you want?
Right.
Yeah. Sign here.
Yeah.
Right. And quit overcomplicating the system. So it's more, that's the stuff I think I remember than actual transactions.
Sure. How long was it when you said, all right, I'm watching this transaction go through. That's what I want to do. How long from like that realization to like this became a business?
Immediately.
Immediately?
Yeah.
What was the thing you like? Do you remember what you did to get your first deals going?
Yeah, I got Mojo Dialer and I got a list of foreclosures and I started calling, hey, do you want a cash offer? Actually, I called you. Is what happened is I called you and I said, Steve, I want to learn how to wholesale.
Yeah, I remember that.
What the hell do you do? And you said, hey, there's this guy, Rafael Vargas, that you should talk to. I Google Rafael Vargas and I'm like, oh shit, this dude's got a thing in Miami.
Right.
I go to Miami, that's $5,000 and I don't have any money. Like real estate's not doing well. I go to Miami and I'm sitting in Miami and he shows all this stuff and I'm like, oh, that's what I need. Like that CRM. And a dude was sitting next to me. He's like, what do you think this is going to cost? I'm like, I don't give a fuck. Whatever it costs, I'm paying because I'll make the money back. Right.
Right.
And it was 25 grand. And I just said, I didn't even have the 25 grand. Right. I'm like, yeah, I'll give you 12,000 now and I'll give you 12,000 in 2 weeks when a deal was closing. But I believed in myself. I was like, that's the system. And it was really just a Podio system to organize leads and a script. And I just grabbed that and rolled.
It was just one of the best CRMs available at the time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So you go out there, I think that included like it was like 25 for the CRM and it included like some mentorship. So you learned from him and you started doing more deals. So your business became consistent fairly quickly?
No. Business didn't become consistent. It still isn't consistent. I mean, it's consistently inconsistent.
Right.
But the months are pretty consistent, but you still have ebbs and flows.
How? Because you said you just hit Mojo, you just start calling foreclosures. How relevant did you find your realtor experience?
Zero.
That's true.
The part of the realtor experience that helped me was I knew how to comp. I could look at a property and be like, this is value. Yeah. That was experienced.
Right. Gotcha. And then when exactly did you guys decide to start working together?
So like I said, so I was just basically when COVID happened, I was just in Alabama. I was living with like 5 other guys in our entire frat house. It was like, we were just like just fucking off. And eventually it was like, hey, it's time to come home. I'm like, oh shit. All right. And came home and it's like, obviously like that job went away. I was like, well, I got to do something. And he was like, look, here's what I've been doing. Like, obviously I had known about this, but he was like, if you come on and do this with me and you're fully in, we'll go ahead and we'll do this 50-50.
Got it.
And I was like, all right. I was like, well, how much money can be made again? And, you're showing me different people and they're driving sports cars.
Yeah, they're driving nice cars.
I was like, I'm in.
Show him the dream.
Everyone that's in the industry that's on social media appears to be doing really, really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So in addition to Rafael, who else helped you, kind of blossom your business?
Your podcast.
So
when I was first started, right, it was listening to your podcast. Like if I'm driving in my car, whatever, I'm listening to Real Estate Disruptors.
Yeah.
And like anything, right, it's not like the whole show is great. I only need one little nugget that come out of a show, one little nugget here. Whether it's, pace, I can close deals like this. Well, if he can do it, I can do it.
Yeah.
Or, Jamil, like just his personality and go talk to people. And you just these smallest little things give you that belief system, right? And you start, well, I can do it, or I've been able to do that.
Right.
But listening to the show just keeps you motivated and pushing further.
Dude, people ask me all the time, like, how did you learn how to do this? And it's like, I listen to every single episode of this podcast, Sales Disruptors, every single one that came out. And like, I look back now, like I probably listened to Pace and Jamil's episode, Templeton's episode, RJ Bates' episode, Nick Perry's episode. I probably listened to each of those like 4 or 5 times a piece.
Yeah. So,
right.
and it's awesome to
Nick
hear
talking about hiring and like just how you do it. You're like, oh, that makes sense, right? And
it makes
just
total
learn
sense.
little things.
Yeah. Yeah, and that's for me, like, selfishly, like, one of the huge benefits I have of the show, that, like, why you start the show, one of the reasons why I started the show is I can get anybody in the country come on the show
Yeah.
and tell me exactly what I need to know. Right. So that's been a huge benefit. But I'm glad, right, that you guys are able to take the nuggets and apply it. And like I do believe everyone that comes on the show has at least one thing about them that sets them apart that we can replicate.
Dude, every single person, they have the exact roadmap for like what I wanted to do. Then there was like I just really named off like 5 or 6 of them, and how many different people you had. But I just saw these people. Those are all people that I like connected with, that I really, and I just see they're showing exactly what is going on. And there's so much like for free. Like it's on this podcast, and also they all have YouTube channels with a bunch of other supplemental free information. It's just all out there right there for you.
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, what? Perfect.
What were some of you guys' biggest victories along the way, right? I mean, it feels like it's only been a few years, but you guys have had some big victories. What were some of the biggest ones?
I'll tell you, my first, like the biggest thing I'll always remember is the first time making $100,000 on a deal, and like looking at a check. It was the first check we ever got. Like we've always gotten bank wires, but I had a check for, I don't know, it was like 132 grand.
Yeah.
And like me and him drove to the bank together and like gave it to the teller, and she took it, and all of a sudden all of that money was in the bank account. And I was like, holy shit, this is sick. And so then at that point, just like perspective of money has now changed. It's like, it took me, maybe a month of following up with that lead, and then 2 months for us to close the transaction. And all of a sudden that amount of money came in here. Now all of a sudden I know never in my life would I ever be able to trade my time for money unless somebody's willing to pay me exorbitant amounts of it per hour. Yeah.
No, I think that's incredibly powerful. It recalibrates everything we know about money, right? In an instant.
And that's the thing is I want to keep pushing that. Like even now I know that there's still room to grow. Like there are people out there who are making what we make in a year and a day. And it's like, okay, well, I need to keep pushing and figuring out what I need to do.
You think of like what people like Elon, the richest people, like how they really perceive money.
Yeah. Their perception of the world is a little bit different.
Right. But I need to get that.
Dope.
I need that perception. Like I need to keep leveling up till I'm there.
What about you, Blake? What was the biggest victories you've had along the way?
Well, the biggest victories that I've had are watching the team grow, like watching people come into our organization and watching their mindset just change overnight, their entire belief system. That'd be my biggest victory.
Yeah, so talk about that, because you guys were here a month ago when Ren was out here for sales leadership, and you guys were talking about like how impactful it is, like the morning huddles you guys have. So talk about how your team's lives have improved. Well,
and this will kind of lead in. So our one acquisition rep, he came in. He actually was seeing Tyson on I don't know, somewhere social
TikTok.
media something.
TikTok.
I don't know which one, but
I was hoping it was like a social media platform and not like another like
social media platform. So this kid
that's for the other show.
and this kid lived in California, right?
Yeah.
And he messaged Tyson, was like, "Hey, I want to come and work for you," and kind of was persistent on. And he shows up, and he's not a natural salesman, but he's very coachable.
No, if you looked or you talked to this kid, you would like, he has a very monotone voice. Like he does not display the traits of like somebody that you think is going to come on and be a rock star.
But you tell him to do something and he just follows it. He just does it. And so we brought him, but he came in wanting to learn and stuff, but now you're starting to see his dreams expand.
Yeah.
Now he's like, I want to go buy a fourplex. I want a house hack. Where he wasn't even like, it wasn't even really a possibility for him to buy a house. And now he's gone from, well, not only to buy a house, but I want to try and buy a fourplex. And in closing deals where he was struggling at first, and like, I'm like, man, what are we going to do here? But his close rate now is 55 transactions. He is 1 in 4.7 offers to a.
That's absolutely remarkable.
Yeah.
And the impact is huge. The other thing is you're the second person I've heard. Third person I heard to actually do business from TikTok, right? So like the very first one was Ryan Pineda, right? He was the one that was like leading that charge a while ago. I was like, well, I don't know about trying to catch Ryan Pineda. But then RJ Bates, right? He said on Pardon the Disruption, like he regularly gets transactions because he just posts his cold calls on TikTok. So what are you posting on TikTok that attracted this model employee? Well,
one I'll tell you is we're not getting deals from TikTok, but it's the personnel. That's the biggest thing for it. But dude, everything, man, is what it comes down to. Posting on TikTok, posting on social media in general, all you're doing is telling your story to the world, right? And so that's a whole bunch of things, right? I show people, one thing that I do that's really big, if anybody wants to grow on TikTok, here's a hack for you. Go live and just do your cold calls live. This is going to be great for you twofold reasons. Number one, you have an audience. So you're going to perform at your very highest every single time. So like we talked, like you had Luke Rutvold and Jake Landis on the show, and Luke likes to play Madden while he cold calls, right? That
Crazy.
keeps it entertaining for him.
Yeah.
For me, going live on TikTok made it entertaining for me. All of a sudden, I got people I'm hanging out with. It's kind of like a show. Like I'm having a great time with it, and it allows me to do it for longer. But also, it allowed me to get better because I need to perform. But then through doing that, people like to see it for whatever reason, right?
Yeah.
And then that started bringing people in, and then that's how like this guy saw it. He just saw me live talking to people. He was like, well, I think I could do that.
Right.
Messaged me, hey, can I come do that? Yeah.
And moved out here.
But what's a post, right? It's just, you're just telling your story. It's whatever you want.
Yeah.
Right?
I like that. Have you considered, if you're doing lives on TikTok, have you considered starting a Twitch stream?
I've been doing it on YouTube now because it's so much better. Because also, like, I want to show people my screen, and TikTok won't let me do it. Like, it's just my face. But I want to show people, like, hey, look, here's what I'm looking at, my comps and everything like that. So if you guys are interested in watching live, like I do this on YouTube. At
TikTok
Tyson
keeps
Smith.
shutting his account down too.
Yeah.
For whatever reason.
I think it's awesome though that you're leveraging social media because it's something that we talk about from time to time. The power of branding, the power of creating content, telling a story, and the objection we always get is like, well, why would anyone want to hear my story? Right? Like, why? Like, or I'd rather just do deals versus creating content. So. Can you address for me those two objections?
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. What do you mean? Okay, listen, I don't know what you believe in or anything like that, but a lot of people, they believe that you were created in God's image and you are the embodiment and likeness of him. And if you believe that and you don't believe that you have something special to share with other people, then you're lying to yourself. Everybody has something that they were put on this earth to be amazing at. And by you just keeping it for yourself, you're being selfish. You can't help anybody else out if you're doing that. And even if it's something is you just starting out, and showing people, here's me, I don't know shit, I'm just doing this. You know what? Somebody else is going to see that and be like, well, if he's not afraid to try it out, then maybe I can. And you know what? Spiritually, by you helping that person out, it's going to come back to you.
I love that. What about
So I'm glad I got him so I don't have to do that.
Yeah. What about the other question of like, well, I'd rather be doing deals than creating content?
Bro, I'm live on TikTok closing deals.
Yeah.
Like there are videos of me, like I'm not only, like I'm making money closing deals while I'm doing this. So that's where people will get caught up. And I do tell that to people who like, they talk to me like, hey, I want to get my social media going while I'm doing this. It's like, well, let's make sure that you're managing your time correctly. For me, like when I first started, especially like I'm live while I'm doing an income generating activity. When I'm talking to this person who's doing, they're like, well, I have made these videos of this and that. It's like, okay, well, is that making you any money? Like, so you have to
the fact that you're tying it to an income activity.
Right.
Yeah, I like that a lot. So how proud are you to hear all this coming from him?
No, it's why I like what he's doing. That's what I want him to go do.
Yeah. I was saying as a father, like how proud is how rewarding is it? Or did you just like, well, you just, you didn't just hire him like some random person off the street. Like you brought him in.
Yeah. Well, in hindsight, because I had worked with him, right? If I brought him in as an employee, I knew that would just be right. The only way to get him to come in, which is why I brought him on as a full partner, right? And said, look, I'm going to give you 50%. We're just going to start everything. It's all half yours from day one, because that would produce complete buy-in.
2 feet in.
And you need commitment. You need commitment for something to work. Yeah. So when I look, I guess, I mean, yeah, proud, but more, it's more happiness, right? Than proud. Like, cause I like to see my kids, I'm happy that my kids are pursuing their dreams. That's what I want more than them pursuing my dreams. So I'm happy that he gets to go and just try and do different things inside this umbrella. Like this opportunity allows him to be creative and try this and see what works. And so, and that's what I enjoy seeing.
So RJ Bates here is in the comments saying that we should have Tyson in Closers Olympics. So we'll see. If we can
what, dude? Also, shout out to RJ, another one. Like I said, dude, I've listened to his episodes how many times, and I was like, dude, these guys. And I've listened to him on Closers Olympics, And that like changed the game for me. I remember watching and being like, dude, have you seen this guy? Like the way he's talking to these people and like, look, he's getting like, holy, it really changed my perspective.
Well, he's authentic.
Right?
Right.
He's authentic. He's not very good, but he's authentic.
But no, I'll tell you what, they commented on one of my videos because like I said, I post me closing deals. Like RJ knows himself, you know, we're actually out here doing deals. But I posted this and somebody commented and was like, hey, let's get you on closer. Let's get you doing it. And I said, yeah, absolutely. Hit me up.
Mm-hmm. Have you gotten the link yet?
Haven't heard anything.
All right, I'll send you the link after this. So we'll see. I'm gonna be a judge. We'll see how well that goes. Did you watch me judge last year?
Mm.
I say I don't know if you want to go through
Dude,
it.
you're
with
a
me
terrible judge.
I know. I was gonna say like, are you sure you want to do it? Like with me being the judge?
I like my system. I learned from you.
Yeah.
That's perfect.
Yeah. It should be an unfair advantage really for anyone that's gone through our training. So we're talking about how your top rep right has gotten 55 contracts year to date.
Mm-hmm.
So talk to me like how do we get someone to have an operation, or how does someone get to a business where they're doing 55 transactions year to date? What have you guys done to allow that to happen?
I don't know that it's what we've done. He's coachable. I mean, the biggest thing is, so when I hear a call and we're going through a call, like our script is follow the script, right?
Mm-hmm.
Quit trying to be the hero. Just read that thing. And that's what he does.
Right.
And, but the thing the coachable part, and this is, you can't train that, right? So, but when I hear something and I will tell him, hey, let's say it this way, and this is why, he absorbs that, and then he implements it immediately.
Yeah.
And that's been his biggest success, is just that he's coachable. Right? He'll listen to you, and it could be something as simple as, hey, Steve, just make me an offer. And everybody, like we just talked about this, and most of these acquisition reps go, oh, well, yeah, I just need a few minutes. Let me figure this out. Mm. And they pause. Mm-hmm. That's a statement. I just need to ask you a few more questions. Mm-hmm. I need about 5-10 minutes.
Right.
Well, they end in the statement and they've left a gap there. Quit doing that. Follow back up, and you have to end that statement, come back with a question. And so he's been very cognizant of like just small changes like that, keeping a conversation going.
Yeah. And I think for me, I don't know how many people I've mentored, well over 100, right? Or between everything I've done over the years. My favorite attribute of all attributes is the person that just does what you tell them to do. Of all the attributes, right?
He
like,
does.
hey, go do this. And they go do this. It's like, if I say, hey, Blake, I need you to do this. Like, yeah. And I come back, how'd it go? It's like, well, I did this instead. It's like, no, that's not what I said, right? So of all the attributes, there's two, but my favorite one is they'll do exactly what you tell them to do. And my second favorite attribute, and it's pretty close, man, it's like 1A, 1B, is that they're grateful, right? Like they're appreciative that you helped them versus like this entitled. Or like,
I'd say he is that too.
Yeah.
It's but it
goes hand in hand. You can't have one without the other.
Yeah, because when you say like there was deals and he would come back, right? He's new, and you got just an unmotivated, unrealistic seller. I want $1 million. I'm like, go offer him $200,000, and he's like, serious? I'm like, yeah. He's like, okay, and he would just go read the script and offer $200,000, and then he'd come back. What they say? They hung up on me or whatever it was.
Right.
But through that, right, it developed like a thick skin for him, and now like. But he also saw how some of these unrealistic sellers, when you came in and gave that offer and then said, this is what's going on, and they came down, he was like, it only took one of those to work. And he's like, damn, all right, I'm going to continue to do what you say.
Absolutely. So he is the last part, right, of to get 55 contracts. He's the last part. A lot of other things have to go right before that happens. So let's start at the very beginning. What kind of marketing are you guys doing to get this kind of deal volume?
Here's what I'll tell you. If you want to get you want to get a rep who's going to go get 55 contracts in, I don't know how many months it's been, whatever,
Sure.
Who's going to go get 55 contracts by April of the start of a year. Here's what you need to do. Number one, you absolutely have to have your marketing in tune, right? So we were doing these outbound forms of marketing, and I think that is, these are strategies that worked in 2019, 2020, and 2021. We found in 2022, when a lot of people slowed down, that we were slowing down and we had to make adjustments. Yeah. And so we had switched to all forms of inbound marketing, which we had heard about, and we had known that these were hotter leads for the longest time, but we finally went all in. We're like, hey, this is what we're going to do now. So now we have inbound marketings in the form of Meta ads, Google pay-per-click ads, and YouTube ads. Through that, now we have a much hotter person, but just because you have a hot lead, you also need somebody who's able to facilitate and turn that into a closed deal, right?
Right.
And the way we've been able to build him up to do that is by constant training, right? So this is something we learned in your sales leadership development, right? We're constantly working with this person to ensure that our goals are aligned. We know what he wants, and we're able to coach him to be able to do the things that he wants to do. He wants to go close that amount of deals, and we know that because we have the meetings just like you told us to do. So we have with them, number one, we have our morning meetings every single day. We go over our wins, and literally every single person in our office, we go over, we talk about where do we win yesterday, right? Hey, I crushed my workout. This happened to me. I stuck to my diet. I got this deal under contract. I sold, whatever it is, right? We talk about it. Everyone goes around. We also talk about, hey, what am I going to do for today? We also have our standards of excellence. So it's like we know that as an acquisition rep, your standard of excellence is to get at least one closed contract a day. And if you don't have a closed contract, then you better have at least 4 offers. If you don't have 4 offers, then you need to have 3 hours of talk time. And if you don't have 3 hours of talk time, then you need to have, how many dials is it?
I think it's 140 or something.
140, something like that, right?
Yeah.
So these are the daily actions every single day that if you do those things, eventually you're going to get the end result that you're looking for.
For sure.
But
In addition to that, also real quick, is we have a system that works for him. Like he said, we told him, hey, look, here's the script, follow this, and it's going to work. And this is a process we've built up over, how many years of rewriting and figuring out and learning from you and learning, right? Figuring out, hey, this is like this works. Like this is an executable thing that if you follow this, you're going to get the same result, which is going to be success.
Yeah.
And in addition to that is adding in like our flair with Novations. So we put him in a spot for success where he's able to take the leads we're giving him, convert them into contracts because he has the tools to be able to give them what these sellers are looking for, solve their problems so we can solve somebody else's problem so we can get paid in the middle.
Sure.
But then like you can give them all the tools, but then you have to look at your leads, right? So cold call leads are great. Texting leads are great. But it takes a lot of them to get a contract. So right now, our year-to-date metric is I need 62 cold call leads to get a contract.
Yeah.
So if I'm just cold calling and you're my acquisition rep, you got to talk to 62 people, and then you got that nurture cycle of months, right? Because cold call leads take a little bit longer in the cycle, so they're further down. So that 1 in 62 is how much time do you got to take?
A ton of time,
right?
Not just initial,
but all this,
follow-up.
right?
Yeah.
So now if you want your rep to close more deals, what if we go get a different lead? What if we go get a PPC lead?
Yeah.
My PPC's 1 in 9 or 1 in 10. My meta ads are like 1 in 12. Our YouTube leads are 1 in 17. So if you're 1 in 10 and 1 in 62, you just got 6 contracts versus 1. So if I want to give you more at bats, when I switch marketing to that hotter lead and that's further into the cycle, that you can get more one and done closes, those are going to happen more often, or that turn cycle is more of a 2-week turn cycle instead of months.
Yeah.
It's more contracts.
So right now, how many reps do you guys have?
2.
2 reps. So between Meta, YouTube, and Google, how much are you guys spending a month on marketing?
30.
30.
Between 25 to 30 grand a month on marketing.
And then is it a national level? Is it multi-state level? Or is
National.
So it's just a blank United States?
Yes. We
yeah,
try and eliminate things as best we can, but
yeah, the Google, I mean, it's not a full blanket. Like we've excluded some places, but it's like right now we have 40 transactions in 17 different states.
Yeah.
So it's pretty wide.
So they come in, so YouTube, Google Meta, they go to a landing page, probably filling out a web form. Is he reaching out to these people?
yes.
So he's taking it from web lead to conversation to contract to close.
Yeah, we don't do that lead manager stuff.
So no lead manager.
No.
That's gone.
Yeah.
Okay. Let's see what other questions I want to ask here. So what shares or percentages would you say is cash? I guess, are you guys closing on anything?
We're not buying anything.
Okay. So what percentage are you wholesaling it? What percentage are you novating? And is there any creative?
Yeah, but we're wholesaling creative. Like we got one that's going to close in a couple weeks. That is a 0 interest type deal and just a complete junk deal. We'll make like $7,000 off it because we're selling the terms. But and we sold these terms on the MLS through Novation, right? Yeah,
We just got all three.
yeah, like hit it all in the same deal. But I don't have the exact percentage, but if we looked at it, it's 90% Novation.
90% innovations.
Yeah.
Okay, so there's got to be some challenges, right?
Oh, yeah.
Novating across the country,
Yeah.
right? Because I know there are people doing it, but there are not a lot of people talking about it, right? So let's just say, I'm listening, right? We're peers, and I decide, hey, I go back to Jaden. Hey, Jaden, new plan.
Yeah.
We're novating across the country.
Yeah.
What's the first thing I got to have in place?
Pay me.
Okay, of course.
Oh.
Or after that.
No.
Well, here's the thing.
You have to have
Number one-
proper paperwork.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right? You need to figure out how your process. Are you going to use a nationwide title company or are you going to go figure one out in every state? What do you want to do?
Right.
And then what's that process like? How are you going to handle the process from contract to close, right? Like what does that look like for you? I know how we do it,
Right.
but everybody's going to have their own little flair of how they want to handle it.
You got to figure out, okay, do I have all of the paperwork necessary also just to get these, right? Do I have the Novation paperwork, everything else involved? Then you have to think, okay, how am I going to be selling these properties? I'm listing them on the MLS. Am I doing a flat fee listing service? Am I working with a realtor? If so, what are the different nuances of each of them? Do I have the personnel to deal with doing the flat fee listing on all of our different properties? Do I have the realtors who I can trust to actually sell these deals and not do what like realtors do?
Your favorite topic.
Yeah. And then also making sure that you understand the entire title process because getting paid on an Novation deal is going to be different than getting paid on the wholesale deal, right? It's not just an assignment. You don't have an assignment fee on the HUD and get paid that way, right? There's different ways that you have to work with the title company with notice of interest and whatnot in order to actually get paid.
And then secondly, do you have some cash? Because your Novation cash cycle is a lot longer, right?
Yeah.
When you're wholesaling, like you get a lead and 2 weeks later, you're cashed out, maybe 4 weeks.
Yeah.
Right? A Novation's 90 to 120 days.
Right.
Right. So you just took whatever cash you did and you're not going to realize cash for 90 days.
Yeah.
So you better have some cash.
Let's talk about, again, your favorite topic here. So pros and cons of going with a realtor versus a flat fee service.
So I don't think there are pros anymore. I guess the pros are you don't need personnel. Right? That is a pro. But the cons are you lose control of your contract. And I don't like to give up control. I want to be the one, like if it's not going to close, I want it to be my fault. So as soon as we put it in a realtor's hands, I've lost all negotiating, right? I'm relying on some listing agent to negotiate with this buyer's agent and try and keep my title company that we have to close with so they don't mess up the novation, get to negotiating, and now it's third party. So there's just a lot of
Uncontrollable variables.
Yeah, that to me, I don't think it's worth it. So we did that for a long while, and I was like, hey, it's just not working. We need more control over the contract from start to finish. And that's why we just said we're going to go with the flat fee because now everything is coming to us. So now, and I can also we can put metrics for a disposition rep.
Yeah.
If I have a realtor doing it, what do I hold you accountable for as a
Open
rep?
houses.
Right? Like what are you going to, who are you calling? Who are you trying to negotiate with? Right? Because now you're all going through a listing agent.
Yeah.
You know who I'd rather negotiating my deals? My dispo guy that's been trained by you versus some realtor who I have no idea about.
Yeah. That's a fair point. Now you mentioned national title versus local. What are you guys doing now? You guys doing national or are you doing local? National. Who do you guys like?
Clothesline.
Clothesline?
Yep.
And then, you and I had an interesting conversation. I'm curious for an update. You and I had a private conversation one day. We're talking about attorney in fact. So what is your opinion, not your legal opinion, what is your attorney's opinion
Attorney in fact.
of attorney in facts?
So I went through and he said, look, they're wrong. An attorney in fact, anybody can appoint. And so that's actually why we went. So I went and found a title company that the attorney in fact works, and it's just a much easier process.
Okay, so
we're
there was a
doing
moment
attorney
where
in
you're
fact.
saying they couldn't work, but now you're saying
we had a title company that said it can't work. You
Got
have
it.
to get a power of attorney. And so then that's going to create a whole other thing because the power of attorney has to be notarized, right?
Right.
So then you're like, how are we going to deal with this? And we did for a little bit, but I'm going to reach out for true legal advice. Like, because again, a title company's not an attorney,
No.
right? So I'm going to go talk to an attorney.
Yeah.
And he's like, no, like, I get where they're coming from, but they're wrong.
Okay. So the other attorney's opinion was an attorney in fact can only be appointed by an attorney. And so now you're saying
The title company.
the title company's attorney. So now you found an attorney whose opinion is anyone can appoint an attorney in fact.
Yeah, he's like, if you're on your deathbed, right, you can say, hey, I appoint this person, right, and you can make them a legal guardian over. Like, you don't have to. They can be your attorney in fact.
Gotcha. Let's see. What are some other questions I want to ask here? So we had the marketing. I'm surprised you guys, how much success you guys are having at YouTube. I haven't heard a lot of people talk about YouTube, which would be interesting because we had Data Flick here last week, and they're talking about how you can skip trace people based off their address. Not skip trace. You can geofence them based off their address. So you can just blast them with YouTube ads just based off their address.
Well, here's the thing about YouTube, dude. Anybody in the world who wants to sit down and really learn how to do something, you can go sit down, they're going to go to YouTube, right? Like for me, when I want to learn how to wholesale real estate, that's where I'm going. You have a captive person who's like ready to seriously learn how to do something. So when somebody goes on YouTube and searches up one of these like highly targeted phrases, like how do I sell my ugly house fast? That's a motivated individual.
Oh, absolutely. It's a very motivated individual. So, so I was going to talk about how, you feel like you're unemployable. I happen to agree, right? So I remember like Templeton reached out to me one day. And he's like, hey, you got to talk to Blake Smith. Okay, I'll talk to Blake Smith, right? Templeton says talk to him. I'll talk to him. And he came into my office, sat down, and I don't know if I've ever had an interview where there were more F-bombs dropped during an interview.
That could be.
And the whole time I was like, is this the guy? Should we bring this guy in? I was like, what the hell? His friends with Templeton, let's bring him in, right? So he came in and you just absolutely rocked it. So one thing that, I don't think I ever personally thanked you for this, but, I have my weekly calls with Matthew Potter, right? He's a host of Pardon the Disruption. And like, he has been like my what's the word? We've been riding that horse forever. Like he is like our steady.
Yeah, rock star.
The rock star. Yeah. And like, he's like, I got this deal closed. I got this deal closed and this deal closed. And I was like, okay, like where'd that deal come from? I was like, oh, Blake. Okay. And like, it seemed like every other month, like where'd that deal come from? Blake. Man, Blake has made me so much money. I've never personally, thank you. So, thank you for that.
Happy happens.
Yeah. But like, because you're out there marketing in the Phoenix market at this time. You're marketing really hard in Phoenix. And it's like, okay, that's a retail deal. And there's only a few realtors you actually enjoy working with.
Yeah.
Right?
Matt Potter is seriously the GOAT.
But I'm licensed, right?
Right.
I could list them all. I could do that.
You could.
It's not worth my time.
But you're allergic to realtors.
It's also not my core competence, right?
Yeah.
Like, let's let somebody who's really good at that go do that.
Yeah.
And he's really good at it.
He is really
and
good
I can
at it.
trust him, right? It's like I don't have to have a sheet and be like, oh, are you going to pay me or not? Like, if I have to do that, again, not worth my time.
Well, and it certainly helped, right? Like, so it was having at Stunning Homes Realty, right? Owning a brokerage and the title company and having like you and Matt be in the same transaction. So like whenever it closed, it says, make sure we pay 25% to Blake. And it's like, it's real simple. It's really super clean. The other thing too, that I've found humbling, right? So again, we had our sales leadership event here and you sat down and like one of the first things he said, like, Steve, I just noticed something today. It's like, what'd you notice? You want to talk about that?
Yes. So I was talking that what I said is I learned about this thing called Y2 Combinator, I think it's called. Basically, it's something in like Silicon Valley where that's like, it's just all like these big unicorn startups came from people that attended this thing. Yeah. And I was like, you're that, but for wholesalers. Like every single person I talked to, they were like your acquisitions agent or they work somewhere in your company.
Yeah.
Like, holy, oh, you were over with Steve? Oh, you were too? Like everybody. And also you can just tell in the entire industry, the way people talk in all of their sales, it's all Steve Trang magic.
Yeah.
Like every single person, the questions they ask, the way they start the phone call, the way they're giving offers, it's like you bleed all over the industry. Like you can see the signs of it everywhere.
Yeah. It's everywhere.
And that's such like it's so rewarding here, right? Because like, again, like when we started this podcast, no one knew who I was. Like I'm still the same person I was. Like
But
when
it
I
was
started.
even before your podcast, right? You were doing the Disruptor meetups. You
Mm-hmm.
started doing the meetups.
It was around the same time. I
they were
launched at
massive.
the same time. Yeah. So, but it's crazy to just see it come full circle. Like, you know, you saying like you started like from watching the show. It's so rewarding to watch this whole thing go full cycle. Like next month would be year 5, right? Like next month would be like when they had Templeton, like May 7th of 2018, right?
Really?
So it's just so awesome to see this whole thing go full cycle.
Yeah.
And then another thing that's really cool is like, you know, we have an opportunity to work together again, right? With Ren and my sales leadership. So, you know, talk about how that's impacted your business.
One thing that we've never been really good at is like structured meetings. Like it's something that like even so the win meetings we're talking about, that all came from our operations manager, Mitchell. Like he's the one who brought in all of that. And he's also the one who's implemented the meetings and everything that we got from the sales leadership development. So something that I talk about is I was like, look, there's all of these different people out there doing sales training. You can go to a million different places and learn how to sell, but there's nowhere to learn how to manage salespeople effectively and lead them to be able to live up to their full potential. And you came out with this product, which was amazing, by the way. It's a 2-day event where you come through and it's like the whole process from hiring amazing people to how you hold them accountable so that they can go be the rock stars you're looking for. And we just took everything, just injected it straight, and we're like, okay, perfect. Take all of these. We're doing these meetings right now. Put them on the calendar, and Mitchell's running them. So it's based like one thing that was really cool that's really been beneficial for us is the 15 and 30-day meetings.
Yeah.
So in order to hold all of our people accountable, number one, I told you we have the standard of excellence for them. And we know that, hey, if you do these daily actions, you're going to have the result you're looking for. And we know what the result they're looking for is because we're having these meetings.
Yeah.
And all that's implemented because we came to the sales leadership. Like we didn't have standard of excellence. Like we had metrics, we were holding them, but
they were your metrics.
They were, and they weren't at the level like for the agent sitting down and saying, hey, this is what I want to hit, and this is how I'm going to get there, and they can see the picture. And these 15 and 30 days, like that, you helped us implement, like so we could like, oh, that's how we do that. Has been very helpful.
I mean, the biggest thing for me, right, learning all this stuff from Ren, and I handpicked Ren specifically because the guy was already rocking it and crushing it, right? Was, you know, you talked about when you started as a realtor, right? When I started as a realtor, no one had to tell me to work 80 hours a week. I didn't need to be told this.
Right.
I was already wired to this because I had a purpose, I had a mission, and I wanted to accomplish certain things like you, right? I want to have nice cars, nice house, and so on, right? No one had to motivate me. No one had to help me find my purpose. I was already driven. And somewhere along the way, we decided, okay, I'm going to spend money on marketing. I'm going to hire salespeople, and we're going to go do these amazing things together. But no one tells you how to like plug into your salespeople and find out their true purpose. And so like, you're just like, hey, Blake, I need you to go work this weekend. You're like, why? Right? It's like, so you can make more money, right? Because like you told me you want to make this money. Yeah, but why? Like, why this weekend? And so there's always this pushback. And what Ren helped me understand is like, if I can plug into your purpose, I don't have to ask you to work 80 hours a week. You want to work 80 hours a week for you.
Absolutely.
Not working for me.
Right.
Yeah. But the way that he described how to actually find that purpose and dig it out of people was so like here's the thing about Ren that there's something I said is with his like the sales process, like the way we're talking to a seller is the exact, all it is communication, right? We're trying to learn something from somebody. And he's doing the exact same thing in these meetings, but with our own salespeople to kind of uncover their motivation,
right? So
that we can lead them in the right direction.
Yeah, it's brilliant. You can see like clearly someone has had a lot of repetitions.
Oh yeah,
at this. Another thing, we were kind of talking about this before the show. Like you're on this fitness thing, right? You're benching more than I ever did, right? Like I was telling you before the show, like the highest I ever got was 285. You're at 315, right? But you're on this fitness, what's the focus, right? Talk to me about why so much focus on fitness and what that does for business.
Everything in life, business whatsoever, anything you want to achieve comes back to your fitness. You being able to have self-mastery and discipline over yourself to get yourself up, go spend an hour in the gym, do the workouts you need to do, eat the right foods that you need to eat in order to nourish yourself, to build muscle and have the energy in order to do these workouts is all something that's 100% only within your control. You are the only person who can get yourself to go to the gym. Nobody else is going to force you to put chicken nuggets and Twinkies down your mouth. Like that is only under your control.
Yeah.
Now, that's the beautiful thing about fitness is that you can get yourself to become fit without the help of, without anybody else. It doesn't require anything. It doesn't require any money. It's just you, right? Whereas if you want to achieve anything great in life, other things can get in the way, right? When you have a business, the market can get in the way. Other people can get in the way. They can mess things up. And another thing about fitness is it all boils down to your every single day actions, right? So it's like, hey, if I want the result of what I want, if I want to bench 315 pounds and I want to have a six pack, I know that every single day I need to work out for this amount of time. I can't eat these kinds of foods anymore. I need to make sure I'm getting the appropriate amounts of macronutrients that I need. And if I do that every single day, I will hit that goal.
Yeah.
That all comes back. Every single thing in life can be boiled down that exact same way. The same thing we're doing with the wholesaling. It's like, if I want to do X amount of transactions, I know that I need to have Y amount of leads, and then we need to make this many phone calls a day, this many offers a day. And if we do that, then we're going to get to that goal. Everything, like, it just all comes down to daily consistent actions that align with whatever your end goal is. And when you find that everything in life goes around that way, you can literally create, this is something that RJ Bates taught me. I hope he's still watching. You can create your own reality. And the way you do that is by first determining what exactly is it that I want. And if it's you want to do X amount, you want to do however many deals, you want to become fit, whatever it is, then you just need to reverse engineer to what do my daily actions need to be. And if you follow through on those every single day, eventually you will become whatever it is you were looking for.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's awesome. Yeah, RJ definitely, he is a leader, as much as it hurts me to say it. He is a leader in our industry. So I want to go to the audience's questions, but right before that, we got a quick message for everyone who's watching. You're not hitting your revenue targets. Your acquisition guys have had the luxury of paying near retail, and your dispo guys have basically just been able to post anything and it sells immediately. You might be wondering, do I have order takers or closers? Maybe the training has gotten a little lackluster and the management might have even gotten complacent. And now that we're facing these serious headwinds, you might be wondering, do I have all the skills necessary to lead my salespeople in this new shifting market? If you're asking yourselves these questions, please text leaders to 33777, talk to my team, and see if we can help you as we overcome this new market. All right, so again, going back to YouTube, RJ Bates showing all the love. It's like, will Tyson compete in the Closers Olympics? So on your end, the answer is yes.
Yes.
All right, so I just got to get you that link afterwards, right after the show. On YouTube, David Kuna. Hi, Tyson Blake. Josh and I love watching you live. Looking forward to your mastermind. Very cool. RJ says you're doing too many shirtless TikTok to get deals. We kind of touched on this a moment ago, but let's go ahead and touch on it again. How does TikTok help lead gen?
It does. I don't get leads from TikTok.
You don't get
I get. Here's
well,
the thing.
I mean, you got seems like a really high quality lead.
In employees.
Yes, that's what we get. We
Yeah.
get personnel.
Yeah,
So
that's more important than one lead here
Yeah.
and there.
Oh, for sure.
right. Well, here's the thing: is when you put yourself out there and you show people what you're doing, your vibe is going to attract your tribe. So people who see the things, who they see what I'm doing. Here's number one: is people feel like they already know me before we've ever met, just because I put myself and my personality out on TikTok.
Yeah.
So if people see that and they gravitate towards it, which look, half the people are not, half the people are going to hate you, and that's fine. But the people who do like you are going to come through, and then they are going to be much more qualified of a candidate because they're already more than likely going to be a culture fit.
Yeah, they already identified this is a person I want to connect with.
Yes.
Yeah. So, to your question, Russian Nico, I mean, like I said, from Ryan and my private conversations with him, Ryan Pineda, like he just gets a ton of private money from TikTok,
Yeah.
right? Like, okay, that's a guy I want to invest with. RJ, he's on PTD, he's getting a lot of seller leads, or not seller leads directly, but like, hey, you need to sell your house, you should talk to that guy because that guy clearly buys houses.
Yeah.
Right. And so for you, you're attracting personnel, which I would argue is probably the most important lead, the most valuable lead.
I'd be interested in some of that private money too, though.
Hiring's the number one. It's probably the most difficult piece of running a business, and you're dealing with it nonstop.
Yeah. I mean, I would say like, Jaden, right? You guys know him. Like, I wouldn't have him if I didn't have the show, right?
Yeah.
And he is the one that has been for the longest time in charge of making sure all the companies are rowing in the same direction. So he's not in charge of managing the employees. He's in charge of managing the companies to make sure they're all rowing the boat in the same direction. So yeah, I mean, I think absolutely the most valuable leads you can have are personnel.
Yeah.
Are you really shirtless? There's a couple of comments here from Marge. Are you really shirtless when you're doing your lives?
Sometimes. No, not my lives, but like, I mean, look, like I also make, I mean, here's the thing is my TikTok is not just real estate. It's everything. Like I'm just putting myself out there. Yeah. Fitness is a big part of my life. And so,
Yeah. So guys, ask more questions because there's some really incredible stuff here. So I think I saw you had a video go viral.
Yeah. Which one?
Something about caliber of salespeople.
Oh, okay. So, I had a video where I said that, and this is actually something we discussed, was that I said that I would not hire a salesperson that had an ugly girlfriend. Because if you have an ugly girlfriend or boyfriend, that means that you can't close.
Right.
Because I think the person you're with is going to be one of the most important deals you close ever. And so if you can't get somebody who is attractive, you're not a closer.
Yeah.
This definitely went viral. It got millions of views across different platforms, and it pissed off quite a bit of people. But I think that people need to look into it and realize is that the reason they're mad is because there's a certain element of truth in that, right?
So I could tell you, I was a little brash in college, right? Like, 18 years old. I was in a class, and there was one time I remember I said something that I thought there was a chance I might not walk out of this classroom alive, right? And it was a comment, it was a debate, right? And we were talking about is competition, is competitiveness nature or nurture, right? That was the debate. It was a philosophical class. And I had made the argument that I think there's nurture, but there's an element of nature. And like, well, what do you mean? It's like, well, if you've won, you enjoy the taste of winning. And if you don't enjoy winning, it's because you're a loser. And half the room never killed me. So
why?
Well, I think it's because calling half the room losers.
Yeah, but there's a big issue with victim mentality in the country, but people don't even know that, right? That they're a victim. It's
because they've been coddled to not be or to be victims. Right? They've been encouraged to stay victims.
Yeah, I think a lot of people don't even realize that you're encouraging people to have a victim mentality.
What was the question that you asked me the other day? About like if you ask somebody, do you think that where you're at in life is your fault?
Yeah. Do you believe that where you're at in your life is your own fault?
100%.
But you go ask people that, like, do you believe your situation and where you're at is your own fault?
I think the healthiest individuals will say yes.
They will. But if they say no, that's a victim mentality.
Yeah. Right. Absolutely. And I think that's definitely not something that's taught in school.
No, look, you are the direct result
You're always
of every single choice
that's not your
you've
fault.
ever made.
It's okay. That's not your fault. Oh, it wasn't your fault. You tried. Now, there's well intent behind that, but come on now.
Yeah.
It is your fault.
If you weren't satisfied with the circumstances, you do something about it.
Yeah, learn from it, right? It doesn't have to feel good. It doesn't have to be right. But you can still like pick yourself up. What can I learn from this, right? So I don't make that mistake or whatever, and I can move on.
Yeah, and there's always that guy that says, yeah, but like what happens if you got hit by a bus or whatever, right? Like, yeah, that's not your fault. However, how you respond to it is your fault.
I don't know.
Also,
did you look
why
before
you
you walked
stand?
the street?
Yeah, is it?
Or
really,
were you
is it
drinking
not
too
your
much?
fault?
I don't know.
Yeah.
I mean,
there are factors involved.
Yeah.
There are multiple factors.
But that is not where your current situation is in life.
Absolutely.
Either.
It's living in the past.
Yeah.
All that matters right now is the present.
Your current situation is, are you sick? Are you healthy? Do you have the money you want? Do you like your job? Like your current situation. If I walk out and got hit by a bus, yeah, that's a fluke accident. That is it's a completely different answer than the question.
Yeah, absolutely. So we got a question here from Josh Rogan. At what level of deal flow per month do you consider hiring an acquisition agent?
When you can't do it anymore.
Yeah, as soon as you need more people.
Or you have the funds, right? Like if you have money, you have enough money, then going ahead and make that higher. But if you don't have the money, then you have time, right? But so it's either you have the money, then at any time going ahead and hire it if you have the deal flow to support that.
Right.
Well, you also need to have the product. Now, I happen to know Josh's situation, but if you're somebody who has money and you wouldn't go out and you're like, oh, but you've never done this before, you don't know how to show somebody how to be an acquisitions agent, then you're going to be in trouble.
Yeah.
Whereas that you kind of need to learn and be able to have a process where you can indoctrinate somebody into what it is you're doing, that you have a repeatable process works. So when they go on,
or
they
you'd have to have
success.
a lot of money, then you'd hire somebody like Steve to say, but that would be a completely different thing. You'd have to hire a company to say, I need you to train your team. They would need to be listening to their calls. Like that's a whole other level, but money would solve that problem too.
Yeah. Let's see here. Different question. Chris Monroe says, "Peace to the family." So awesome. So as we wait for more questions to come in, what does your business look like right now versus when you, let's say, beginning of 2020? It's been a few years now. What are the biggest differences in your business? Because there's been multiple iterations in your business.
Absolutely.
Well, a couple things are, one, we're done with shiny object. Like, I'll do creative, but we are not chasing creative. I am not a creative finance guy. I get it. I'm a wholesaler. I like to wholesale. That's what we're going to do. And so as a company, we're just like, this is our focus. Everything else, I don't care. I don't care what somebody else is doing. And yeah, I might be able to go make more money that, but I might not. So we're a wholesaler first and foremost. And we do wholesale via cash, like an assignment or a Novation.
Yeah.
That's it.
We're not messing around with flipping. And there's so many different things out there. Like, all of a sudden, for a second, I was like, oh, dude, I'm going to go buy multifamily. That's what we're going to go do. And then all of a sudden, we had to take a step back and realize it's like, okay, what is our goal here? Like, we need a North Star that is what, if it is not, like, if it's not bringing us closer to that, it's irrelevant.
Yeah. Well, you guys are doing nationwide PPC, and then you guys moved away from nationwide PPC. You guys went back to nationwide PPC. But talk to me, like, what was it that decided, because you were focused in Phoenix, right? Then you went nationwide. Then you decided to go back to Phoenix. You went back to nationwide. What were the thought processes, considerations when you made those decisions?
When I went nationwide, I was running the PPC, right? So I was talking to people running it, and that's not my skill set. But it gave me an understanding, but I was running. So we were getting leads all over, and we were trying to wholesale these leads in these small markets and proving very difficult, where I'm like, I know Phoenix, I know the buyers, right? And I know what we can do. Like, I know how to buy. So we were just like, we're not doing very well. I'm not converting the PPC leads that we're spending this money on.
Yeah.
So we came back into Phoenix, where we know the market and could wholesale. As market shifted, right, we're running 20 cold callers. We're spending $20,000 a month on these cold callers, and we're picking our markets just to cold call into. And as the market made that shift, then we're starting to look at this and saying, cash buyers are going to dry up. Yeah. We've got to move to the Novation route and sell in the MLS. It's that, or we're going to die, right? It's going to become extremely difficult. So at that point, then we just started slowing down cold calling and ramping up PPC, but I hired an outside company. Yeah. So we don't run it. He does the marketing, and we just direct where we want that to go.
So you mentioned earlier in the show that one of your greatest challenges is that you're a bit of a control freak, right? Like, you have to really have your hands on and being involved. And so one of the difficulties you faced was hiring an integrator that you could rely on, right? That you could trust was running the business the right way. So what did you do to finally identify and work with an integrator that you felt confident?
Honestly, I'm the integrator.
Okay.
So and there's a lot of it. So I'm putting the systems together, and I'm actually really good at it. Yeah. But instead of hiring the integrator, we hired an operations manager, and it's allowed, he is way better at holding accountability to KPIs and metrics, and hey, why do we have a new lead here? Why are these leads not being followed up with? Hey, check these unresponded, get on this. So he's really on top of them.
Phenomenal manager. The best I've ever seen it, just leading people towards the common goal, making sure they're on top of all of their stuff, having the meetings with them, the regular, hey, every single week at this time, we're having this meeting.
Yeah. And forcing us to have an L10 too. Yeah. Right.
Imagine you guys too.
Yeah. So that, and then it's allowed me to say, okay, hey, we need this in the system. And now we can come back, and now we have actually KPIs again, so we can manage the business.
So you're the one that's in there tweaking, updating, modifying. Hey, this is an interesting tool we might want to incorporate. Let's go ahead and see if this makes sense.
I'm the one building out the CRM and all the metrics.
Yeah. For the longest time, dude, he used to say, he's like, I'm not an integrator, any of this. But and that's why I think there's a lot of value in Rocket Fuel and what they're talking about there. But I think people are too quick to pigeonhole themselves into one little thing where it's like, oh, no, that's not me. When in reality, he's amazing at just getting this shit done.
Well, getting things done is probably one of your strong suits.
Definitely.
Right. So, and I would say the most profitable operators, right? There's a lot of operators out there, but the most profitable operators are both the visionary and the integrator, right? They have the vision and they execute it, right? So I think that, yeah, to your point, like you kind of like people are like, well, I'm just a visionary, or I'm just an integrator.
Yeah.
But again, like the most successful operators, like businesses that you would look up to and want to emulate, visionary is the integrator.
Yeah. But hiring the manager and so I don't manage the people, right? And when problems come in, I'm
Wait,
like,
so you have a sales manager?
go talk to Mitch.
Yeah, yeah. I think that's absolutely key. And I think that's one of the things that, again, going back to having learning from Ren and him teaching sales leadership was, how do you effectively lead your salespeople, right? And you decided, like that's not really your hat to wear.
Right.
You're more of the integrating, right? And it's managing the salespeople is Mitch's hat to wear.
Yeah. And he's more, I can be demanding.
Oh,
Right.
yes, you can.
And so, and he has a way, he's very demanding, but it comes across very well, right? So people respond very well to it. He does a great job at it.
Yeah. Let's see here on YouTube, Anthony, do you guys wholesale creative deals?
Yeah. So like he was just barely saying, we have a deal that was locked up on terms, but then we wholesaled it as a Novation.
There's a different comment about me.
Zero down, zero interest, and seller paid his own closing costs. So he came to the table with $5,000 to close the deal.
Yeah.
I've said, I can go find you a buyer for that.
Absolutely. Ingrid Hernandez says she loves seeing you two together on the screen. And she also made a comment about me getting my hair cut. Thank you, Ingrid, for noticing.
She's actually a killer.
Ingrid
Man. She's doing a great job.
Goat.
Yeah. No, she's the creative realtor.
Yeah, she's
right? Like
smart.
Talk about, you got the realtors that believe creative is illegal.
Yeah.
And you got the realtors that know what they're talking about. She is in the category.
Yeah.
She's an expert in creative financing and a realtor.
Yeah. She's really smart.
I remember the first time I met her at a meetup, and I knew like immediately like afterwards, I was like, she's different. Like, she really knows what's going on.
What freedom does real estate afford you to?
Dude, anything I did, I'm gonna have freedom.
Yeah.
I just said earlier, dude, I've got complete control of my reality of everything that I want in life. Like,
yeah. I wouldn't attribute my freedom to real estate.
Honestly, I don't even really like real estate that much. Like when it
Talk
comes,
about that.
Like when it comes down to like the idea of it's kind of boring. I like sales and marketing. That's more fun. That's what we're doing.
Right.
But when it like real estate, like single family residential houses, like go buy $80,000 house in the Midwest and rent it out and make $800 a month.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you're speaking my language, right? Like the things I've said is like I love everything about real estate except for the properties and dealing with people.
Right.
Beyond that, I love real estate.
Yeah.
So now I'll start with you, Blake. What is your why?
Yeah, I think about this a lot, and I don't know that there's like one answer, but the biggest thing is we only have one life. Like we got one shot at this, and I don't care what people say. You don't know what the fuck's gonna happen when you're gone. So you need to make the most out of it, right? And to make the most out of it means you need to be uncomfortable. You need to always be striving to do something and to be better. And so it's, can I go do this? Can I make this happen? Can I go accomplish this, right? And pushing yourself. And that's why I do it, right? It's just, can I go make this happen? Can I go create this? And you get a lot of value out of that.
So we had, what was the guy's name? Randy Massengale, right? We had a call. I think it was like on Black Friday. And, I got a chance to listen in. You were kind of sharing like your journey, and we've had also, Larry Ash on the show, and we kind of talk about how much of how we operate is based off the wiring we got in the first 8 years of our life, right? Like this, childhood trauma. I'm not sure that's the right word, but, there's a lot of programming that occurs in us. And so one of the things he talked about was like, you're being the oldest and you were expected to do things like, this is the right way to do things, Blake. This is the expectation. This is the way we have to do things. And you had at some point a certain obligation, or not obligation, but a certain desire. Like, okay, this is not the right way to do things. There's a right way to do things, and I'm going to show you guys. Is there an element of that here?
There probably is. I grew up in a very religious household, and from a little kid, I fucking hated it. Like everything about it was kind of kooky. And I mean, I can remember being like young, like 10 years old, and watching this be like, this is crazy, right?
Yeah.
Just didn't enjoy it. And so you're kind of taught, you got to go do all this. And I was like, and then I also grew up in a very poor community. So everybody's poor. Like, it was the poorest county in Colorado. And, you know, I don't know, you watch TV and you're like, damn, that looks nice. But I always knew that I wanted to do something different. Like, whatever this life was that I was seeing, there had to be something better.
Yeah.
And so there's probably a little bit of that. Like, I'm constantly looking, like, there is better, and you have to go get it.
And one thing, the feeling I get, I'm not sure it's completely accurate, but one thing I think I'm sensing from you is, you know, you hear this expression that comparisons is joy, right? And I've always said that's not quite accurate. Like, I like to see, like, that's possible. Oh, I can go do this. Oh, that's possible.
Yeah.
Well, let me go do that. And I sense that from you as well. So you don't look at like, oh, that sucks, I don't have it. You look at it like,
No.
oh, you can do this, and there's a way to do it.
Yeah.
Let me go do it.
Yeah. And there's nothing better than seeing people succeed, right? It's amazing. And actually, one of my favorite things is watching, like, all these young kids. Like, the technology and the future to me is more bright than it's ever been. These doom and gloomers are, I won't say what they are, but I think it's fascinating. And so when you're looking into the future, or you're looking at the possibilities it could be, God, the future's bright, right? And it's fun to go chase that. It's fun to dream and believe and go try and create and do something better and different.
Yeah. No, I totally agree. So as long as AI doesn't kill us, it's gonna be awesome.
It's gonna be amazing. Yeah.
How about you, Tyson? What's your why?
I believe that it is a little bit of a waste of your life if you do not maximize your full potential. And I think that through building businesses, through building myself, is an excellent outlet for realizing your potential. And it's selfish if you don't, because I need to do it for myself, of become the very best version of who I am, to show my family and to show my girlfriend and to show, you know, anybody who comes after me and my friends what it all is possible. Right. Yeah. I think that, you know, our time here is so short, you know, when you look at things, and if you do not enjoy every single day, it's because you don't have a purpose. You haven't realized what it is you want to do, and you're not working towards a goal. And I think it's finding love in that work of realizing that the journey is really like the fun, like, and that's why every single time anybody reaches a goal, we just find a new one. It's because we always want to be striving after something.
Yeah. How old are you again?
25.
Not talking like that at 25 years
Not
old.
me either.
So what is your biggest struggle right now, Tyson?
Biggest struggle right now? Biggest struggle right now is, it's funny because we're talking about TikTok bringing in people, but right now, just the amount of deal flow we don't have the personnel to match it up. So I'm very actively looking for talented salespeople. The traits of somebody that I'm going to like, or that somebody that's going to fit well in an organization, is number one, you absolutely need to realize how beautiful life it is and how amazing we have it. You must be growth oriented. You must want to get better. And also, people ask me, they're like, oh, do you have to be like into fitness and jacked if you want to go work at We Buy Homes Cash? And it's like, no, you don't. But if you do, you will eventually become that.
Yeah.
So you have to be willing to change. And finally, you have to be coachable. But if somebody does want to do that, they want to be a part of an organization that has a 100% success rate in making everybody who's ever been a part of it a better person, then you absolutely need to consider applying. The link is in my Instagram bio.
I was gonna say, is there a specific link? So just go to your Instagram.
Honestly, you click any of my links, there's gold in all of them. So I'm more than happy for you to peruse through that. But
How about you, Blake?
The biggest struggle for business, yeah, that's what it is. Just getting through the amount of deals we have. We don't have the people to get them sold, and honestly, we could do more leads, but we just don't have the personnel. So getting personnel, that's always going to be a struggle. And probably just on a personal level is being content, right? Like, it's hard to be content. Yeah. Like, you get to a certain place and you want more, but I don't know, man. Life's pretty fucking great for sure.
Yeah, I think you and I still need to have just just sit down for like an hour one day, you and I, to figure out, your purpose. And because this lack of content thing can cause problems, right? It can cause challenges that, you might take some chances that maybe you shouldn't take.
Yeah, but
That's what keeps you going, though.
I'm a gunslinger, man.
I know you are. Brett Favre over here. I'm just saying, maybe you and I should just have a one-on-one for an hour one day. Ingrid says that, you're one of the first people that helped her understand wholesale business. She's super grateful for you. Super go-giver with a dirty mouth. So,
yeah, but
and then, Lima, is this live or pre-recorded? This is absolutely live. So, ask your questions here. A question that Phil Banks, he's having some struggles. He's been at this for 2 months. He's wondering, should he go stay in his market or go to virtual? He's heard that his market is the most challenging market.
If you've heard it's the most challenging market,
Then
it's probably
stay
one of
there.
the best markets there is.
yeah.
I love that. That's my favorite
Yeah.
thing. They're like, oh, you can't wholesale in Southern California. There's too much competition.
No,
Good.
but, yeah.
There's a lot of competition because
it's a good
somebody's
market.
making a shitload of money there. That's
Yeah.
where I want to be.
So one of my favorite things, I don't even know where this came from, but there's always room for one more if you're good enough. And so it's what I'd say if you're struggling, right? Reach out to somebody who's having success in your market. Like reach out and go talk to that person, see what they're doing and emulate that. Find somebody you look up to, reach out to that person and go model them. Quit trying to invent the wheel, man. It's already been done.
I love this attitude, and I wish I had this attitude years and years ago. So, as a realtor, I'm watching TV, I'm listening to the radio, and like it's consistently Russell Shaw, Curtis Johnson, Russell Shaw, Curtis Johnson. Just those two, right? I was like, well, should I try? Like, I don't know if there's enough room for a third person. I was like, you know what? I'm just not going to do it. And Carol Royce comes along, and she edged Curtis Johnson off the radio. She just came in, and she forced her way, and not only forced her way in, she forced Curtis out, right? But that was the attitude. Like, there's room for one more, and I'm coming in, and right now, like, you look at all the billboards, it's either 72 Sold or Carol Royce. Like, those are the only two people advertising.
72 Sold's an amazing company, right? Like the amount of hate they get just makes me see. Yeah, I wish I would have thought of that.
Jealous
Me too.
haters.
I totally am envious that they did it before me, just like Open Door.
Oh,
Totally envious that they figured it out before I
yeah.
did.
The hate that these companies get is kind of beyond me. Whenever there's something disrupting a market, you need to look at that. Because why is it disrupting a market? The market is saying, I don't like this.
Yeah, the market says I want that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So there's
It
a lot
wouldn't
of
work
gold.
if the market didn't want it.
There's a lot of gold to look at that and say, well, what are they doing? Like, because now I can piggyback off of that and still like there's just unlimited.
Yeah. So I love this mindset, right? Good. It's tough. Good. It's competitive. Good.
Good. That's a good market. I want to be there.
Yeah.
For real. All of those like competitive, challenging markets, that's where all of the biggest
That's where your
assignment fees
spreads are. Yeah. You want to make money. That's where it's at.
So, kind of extension of what we were talking about a moment ago, like how are you measuring success? So you're saying you struggle with finding contentment. How are you measuring success?
No, I sometimes struggle being content. But I'm very happy. I'm very happy. I'm very grateful. But it's, how do I measure success? It's the same way, like if we talk about fitness. So I hired a nutritionist about 6 months ago. And the way I track it is I write down my weight every single day, right? I go to the gym, I say, this is what I'm going to do. And then he gives me what I'm supposed to eat, gives me my plan, and I track it every single day. When I go to the gym every single day, that's not fun. I don't see results.
Not daily.
Not daily. But you look at those before and after pictures, you're like, damn, this is working, right? And so it's the same thing in business. You're tracking the results. You're tracking what your team's metric are. You're tracking what your KPIs are. And when you track that, that's how you measure your success.
Yep.
You can see the progress.
How about you?
The way I measure success, and I'll tell you right now, I'm the most successful person I've ever met, is I am excited about every single day.
Yeah.
Like I wake up and I'm stoked. It doesn't matter what's going on. And I'm not even full of shit when I say this. I'm excited because I get to go to the gym and work on what I'm doing and help achieve my goals that way. And I'm excited because I get to go to the office and we have a badass culture and every single person in there is in a good mood every single day. And I get to surround myself with people that are like that. I get to work with my dad, my best friend, everybody else who's in my office are a bunch of studs. Like it's a great place to be. I have built the life exactly as it is that I want it. And the reason why I'm excited is because I have goals that I'm working towards. And they keep me hungry. So I'm always chasing after something, and that is fun.
Yeah.
And when you're having fun, you're excited, it's a good life.
Alea Evan here says that she loves the mindset you guys have. Hope her kids have the same mindset, and that you, Tyson, helped her start her own fitness journey, which kind of goes back to earlier when we talked about the victories, right? Like one of your biggest victories is that you're changing the lives of people around you. Ingrid wants to know, how many cents on the dollar are you guys getting houses contract that you wholesale?
So we haven't done a lot of wholesales, but when we look at wholesaling, you're contracting, depending on your market, but you're going to be, to contract it, you want to be at around 60, 62 cents on an ARB dollar.
Mm-hmm. And what markets are you guys in? You said you're in 17 states.
No, we
have deals in 17 states right now.
Okay. And then, Tyson, what is your superpower?
So my superpower is that I am eager to ask for help from other people. Whenever I identify something that I want to get good at, I find the person I know that's the best at it that can show me. I knew that I wanted to really take my fitness to the next level, so I saw out and I found a nutritionist who could help me do that. When I know that I want to achieve highly in business, I went and found mentors who can help me get to the level I want to go to.
Yeah.
Anything that I can see out there and I can see these different people doing things that I want, I'm happy to ask them for help. Right? I don't have to be like there's no like, oh no, like I'm some badass. I have figured out myself. No, if somebody's already done it, show me, let me copy off you.
Yeah, I love copy. Like there was a day I remember seeing, like I think it was on Reddit or whatever, like the guy that invented, copy and paste, like Control C, Control V. That is like, man, like heart sank that day.
Right.
Yeah, it's a cheat code.
I hope to one day do something of that magnitude.
Yeah. How about you, Blake? Superpower.
Grit. There is no plan B.
Yeah.
I don't need a plan B. I will not fail.
Yeah.
It does not matter what it takes. Like, I'm going to go.
Like, and that reflected, right? You're talking about like when you're at Raphael's event. It's like, well, I'm going to pay for it. I don't have the money yet, but it's going to get paid.
Yeah, it's just, there's no plan B.
Yeah.
But it's unnecessary for me.
Yeah. What is your biggest regret?
Looking back, when I think about it, my biggest regret was, when I think about regret, and it's probably giving up on life partway through my life. So I'm 50 now. There was a time where I just kind of gave up. And it's not like I gave up and was depressed, but I wasn't excited and moving forward, right? So I was just eating terrible. I didn't give a shit. I didn't like my job. I didn't like what I was doing. And in a sense, that's giving up, right? You're letting life dictate on its terms. Mm-hmm. And it was, the biggest blessing was like actually winding everything down, figuring out what I've got to do. And now I've got this new zest for life. And like, I'm back where I create my own life, right? It is 100% in my control. I get to create what I'm going to look like. I get to create how I feel every day. I get to create what I do every day. That is all within my control. And so getting that back, but just letting go of that for a while and to lose sight, like quit dreaming, right? And letting the world kind of beat you down and listen to the nonsense. Dream, believe, and go have fun.
So you guys have an incredibly powerful mindset. I'm curious, where did this really strong mindset come from?
I mean, I got to give credit. Like everything I know, it's like I've got people. Well, I've always had amazing role models, including him, right? But I've always had him who did what he said he was going to do. And one thing that he always told me, I can remember being in the car one day and him telling me, he was talking about somebody, and he was just saying like they're unhappy, like they choose to be unhappy, they choose to only see the bad in things. And I remember he was just kind of talking, like he wasn't like lecturing me or anything. But he's like, I just choose to be happy. There's a lot of shit that I could be pissed off about, but why? That doesn't do anything for me. And that's something that's always stuck with me. Like, so I have him as a role model. I've got people like Templeton Walker and people like RJ Bates that, all have very strong mindsets. And that is what I am attracted to. I've always surrounded myself with that. And, what you constantly surround yourself or what you're going to be. Yeah. So I choose to accept and to buy into all of this. Whereas,
and that's like, I think that's actually the theme of your podcast, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. What's the name of your podcast again?
It is The Rebellion. And so, it's about basically, I think a lot of people right now, the status quo of things is kind of to be a victim, not to, to complain about everything that's going on. And instead we talk about how great everything is and all that is available to you.
So going back to that question for you though, like, because you're a model for Tyson, where are you growing your mindset?
Yeah, I don't know where it was from younger other than just honestly growing up in a poor community, being like, there's got to be a better life than this. And I got to go figure out how that to happen. Now, though, like where the mindset comes from is you're a sum of the people you're around. And I think too often that like we live in the great estate. Like I don't talk to Temp hardly ever, but you know what? I see him on social media all the time. And so his mind, his positivity is in my head, right? I can listen to Pace on social media. Like he's outgrown us all now.
Oh yeah.
But his mindset is still there. So you can pick who you listen to, and that is still like the people. And when you're constantly listening to people that are putting out good thoughts and good vibes and positivity and strength, it's just gonna rub off on you.
Yeah.
I think
quit listening to garbage.
If
you got something on TV and you're like, God damn, this feels gross, turn it off.
I've curated everything I consume to only be brainwashing me towards positivity. If I see something on my feed for a millisecond that makes me be like, ooh,
unfollow.
Done.
Yeah.
Never will see that ever again.
So this is a weird question then, right? Like, so what is your biggest regret? We're talking about all this positivity. What is your biggest regret?
Man, dude, I really regret not doing an extra set this morning. No, but biggest regret is, I'll tell you what, my biggest regret in life, and this is something I regret every single day, is any negative energy I've ever given a person. It's every single negative thought I've ever had when I see somebody driving by the road, or me just like subliminally judging somebody when I see that. Because I know that I am paying karmic debt for all of that negative energy I've ever given somebody. Yeah. And whether it's like a sly joke or comment I made to my friend that's negativity, I regret that. Like that is something that I'm trying very consciously to remove all of that from my life, whether it's even my thoughts. Like if I even think something negative about somebody I walk past, I regret that immediately. I'm like, okay, how can I turn that? How can I twist that into something that's positive, beautiful, good?
What is the greatest lesson that you learned?
I think it's what he said earlier, is that there's always room for one more if you're good enough. You know, like I think that there's so many people who will stop themselves because they think of there's too much competition or somebody's already doing it. When, I mean, every single person is so unique and has so much to offer the world. And you got to put yourself out there. Like if I had been worried that, I'm not going to start going on social media, talking about real estate, talking about whatever it is I'm doing, because there's already so many other people doing it, then I would have missed out on so much of my life.
Yeah. How about you?
Probably the you create your own reality, right? Like it sounds very cliche and it sounds impossible, like when you're in a dark state. But you have the ability to create your own reality. Like you truly, it doesn't matter. You can take your mind and focus and you will change. You will physically change how you feel, how you think, how you believe. And just having that, like, that's amazing.
Yeah. And then what book have you gifted more than any other?
Probably Think and Grow Rich.
Think and Grow Rich. It's not Feel and Grow Rich?
Feel and Grow Rich. Actually, The Go-Giver, maybe.
Go-Giver?
It's a good book, or How to Win Friends and Influence People. I don't know.
That's mine. I've given 2 people How to Win Friends and Influence People, and that book is for real. Like, I don't know. I mean, there's a lot of books that I feel like is a lot of like mental masturbation when you're reading, and that's all it is. You're just reading the shit to make yourself feel better.
Yeah.
And whatever. That's also in itself a positive thing to do, and I respect that. But How to Win Friends and Influence People is just cover to cover, chock full, actionable advice of how to be a better person that anybody in the world can benefit from.
Yeah. So I want you guys to think about some last thoughts you want to leave the listeners with. I'll just make a couple of quick announcements. Guys, if you have value today, please like, subscribe, share, comment, right? Help us reach more people. Tune in next week. I got Pablo Chinchilla. He's going to be coming on to the show. And, you know, if you enjoyed what we were talking about as far as sales leadership with Ren and everything we're offering, text leaders to 33777. I've also personally learned a lot working with Ren hand in hand. You know, pretty cool to be able to operate closely side by side with a person that's, I think they did like 300, 400K last month, in revenue, something totally obscene. So if you guys want to learn how to do that, text leaders to 33777. So last thoughts. What would you like to leave all the listeners with, Tyson?
Well, one, if you're listening to this podcast and you already have a great head on your shoulders and you have everything you need to get whatever it is you want, like everything that is contained in these episodes, everything you can go find on YouTube right now is everything you need. You don't need to buy any kind of course or anything like that. Yes, it could be helpful for you, mostly because I think you make a financial commitment, so then you force yourself to take action upon whatever it is. But everything is out there right now, and it's just a matter of you deciding to be 2 feet in and do the daily actions that'll get you to where you want to go.
Great message. How about you?
I'd say to people, quit lying to yourself, right? Like, quit saying you want to make $1 million if you're not going to take the action.
Mm-hmm.
Like, just accept that you're going to go make 50 grand a year and go do that. But if you quit lying to yourself, then you can actually go commit. Mm-hmm. And when you commit, then you're going to go take action. And when you take action, you're going to create results.
Yeah, that's another powerful message. See, I'm trying to remember. I heard something along these lines very, very recently. It was that you don't need to push yourself harder. That's just put another way. You don't need to push yourself harder. You just need to be honest with yourself.
Yeah.
Because if you're honest with yourself, then you'll do all those things that you really want to do.
Yeah.
But when you're telling yourself that you want to do something that someone else is doing, and you're playing someone else's game,
it's a tough game.
Dude, you're no longer in alignment with your purpose, and that's when things fall apart.
Absolutely.
Quit lying to yourself.
Quit lying to yourself. Powerful message. How can someone get a hold of you?
They can't.
All right. So they got to follow. They get a hold of Tyson.
Yeah.
Okay. So can someone get a hold of you?
Instagram at Tyson_Smith, and also on YouTube, youtube.com/ at Tyson_Smith.
Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much. Appreciate you guys coming on.
Thank you, Steve.
I appreciate it.
It's been a long time coming. Glad to have you on the show.
Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you guys all for watching. See you guys all next week.
Shout out to Steve Trang. Jump on the Steve Trang. We real estate disruptors.